guys, I'm here with Abbey Normal. She is a psychic and a channeler and a jack of all energy healer. Yes, she's the jack of all
trades.
Cool. So yeah, how do you describe what it is you do, Abbey?
Okay, so Nikki, it's always hard to put my finger on how I describe what I do because it's a bit like different. It's kind of outside the box, which gives me the flexibility to literally experience the universe. Anything in this universe is full of information. So I am a psychic person. I am an energy healer. So when I tap into the energy side of anything, whether it's a person, an animal, an object, a memory, a time, a place, a star system, when I tap into that, I experience vibrations. So like people like to work on their third eye, for instance, they want to see the energy world. So I teach people how to open their psychic senses up. But sometimes a lot of people struggle to know it's safe to see. So sometimes people are in the dark, and I teach people how to see from being in the dark through feeling the information, through feeling the experiences that they're having. So I translate frequency patterns, and all those frequency patterns become colors and places and information and meaning. So I guess that's being psychic, right? And then I can work with those energy patterns to help neutralize vulnerabilities, to help soften fears, to help us understand what that fear is all about, why it's there, if that's a past life or etc. And then I share love with those frequencies in order to help heal. So yeah.
It's awesome. And the thing I like best about you, I've been watching your channel for a couple of years now, is that you are not scared of what we are traditionally taught to be scared of. You'll literally have conversations, or you will go into energies of, like, recently on your channel you did one with Lucifer versus Satan. Like, what is the difference in those energies? Is there a difference in those energies? Like, you'll look at some of the darkest things that we're taught to be scared of, and you'll work through that and like what's really going on there and all those levels. And I commend you for that. So how did you even get brave enough to, like, how did that happen for you?
Okay, I love this question so much, Nikki. Okay, so, all right, how do I want to begin to answer this? So I feel like my life has been teaching me a lot about love. And I was often kind of the observer type. I was a pretty animated, creative person, but I always found that it was safe to be alone and more vulnerable to be around people. Although I worked through that throughout my life, I felt a lot of loneliness. But in that time, I talked to myself a lot, and I talked to nature a lot. And I learned about pain, like the feeling of loneliness, the feeling of sadness, the feeling of depression, the feeling of confusion. And so I worked with darker feelings in my life because you just simply feel that way as a human being, it's hard to be here. So that pain is the same pain as these demons that we're all taught to be powerless and afraid of, when they're actually parts of ourselves. They're parts of our own suffering. So let's say you have an out of control child. You can scream and yell at that kid, which is only going to encourage them to be even more reactive or more imbalanced, when really we need to find a gentler way. It's kind of like the dog with a shock collar now turning into positive reinforcement. We're learning that love does teach. It helps grow, it nurtures. And so when it comes to not being afraid of that, I guess you could say I did go through a time. I've been on such an odd pathway because I didn't consider myself a psychic person, even though I was talking to the spirit realm my whole life. Like, I was feeling things. I was talking to God. I was talking to angels. I was talking to, and I felt like they were talking to me because I could feel that information, could feel what they were saying. I could feel that inside myself. And I saw psychics at different times in my life. And was really supported by that experience. And I found it uplifting to have that connection with the spirit realm. So it was through starting my YouTube channel, because I had so many unusual experiences. Like, I was having alien experiences, and it was getting louder and louder and louder and louder. These experiences were, and then through YouTube, it was all the people out there watching me that said, "Hey, do you do readings?" And it's like, I'm not a psychic person. No, I don't do reads, but sure. Why not try? Like, why not try, And so I'd have questions. come in, and then I would just see what come up, but I didn't know if this was my imagination or if I was making things up, which is pretty normal for people when they're developing their psychic ability. It feels like you're just making this stuff up. So I felt like I told myself that, you know what, I'm just going to be honest. This is literally what's coming to me. So I can only tell you what's coming to me. Like, this is literally what I'm experiencing. This is the way it makes me feel. And I got so much positive feedback. I started doing sessions. And then shortly after I started doing sessions, that's when some things opened up, and I was forced to face the scary side of the spirit realm, as though it was contaminated inside of myself. And so I went through a period, this was in 2016, of about a year of time, where it was what you would define it as psychic attack. I had never been afraid of demons. I'd never been afraid of the spirit realm. I'd never been afraid of anything, because everything felt like it needed love, or it understood love, and it wanted to love me and help me to find the love inside myself. That was always what the spirit realm had meant to me. 2016, I was extremely challenged, and I mean, it really threw me for a loop, because I just started doing psychic sessions. I just left my full-time job. And now I felt like I was being psychically punished. I was being psychically tortured. Like, how dare you think that you can set yourself free? So I learned through that very difficult, debilitating experience, the power of love. Again, the power of love. It works again. I got myself out of that. I got myself straight up out of that. And I thought I was going to die from it. That's how I felt it on the inside. And I learned so much from that experience. And I also learned about Archangel Lucifer in 2016. I learned, man, I had learned so many things. I will say March of 2017, I had defined myself as a master in love, because I had faced dark alien beings. I had faced what I thought was, I didn't know what it was, but I would define it as my own ego destroying me, my own ego trying to put me back in my place. A lot of people feel like what is demonic, it's a demon out there hurting them, but sometimes it's your own ego that is trying to put you back in your place, because you're actually opening up to more light, and your ego is terrified of that. And your mind is so freaking incredible, because if it can take an illusion and make it that strong, that it is that real, that it feels like that real, that you would end up dying from it, like, that's how your ego works to keep you in check. That's what we're breaking down. That's what human ascension is. So I got a full-blown taste of that. And after that experience, like, it was like, okay, if I can do that, there was literally nothing left. Like, I was so proud of myself. I was so alive. I finally understood something. I started to understand it better and better and better and better and better through client sessions. I started to understand love more. I practice my gift every day, all the time. And it's really fun to see what you come across. But every single time, Nikki, the message always comes back to love, 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 love. Are you afraid of love? Believe it or not, people say, I'm definitely not afraid of love. Dude, you're totally afraid of love. I'm even afraid of love. And I feel like I'm definitely more not afraid of love than a lot of people. But you're going to be challenged. You're going to be challenged to be courageous and strong and find the words to speak. And that is you facing your fears so that you can be full of more love than you were ever able to feel before, which is empowering. It's freeing of the senses. All this stuff is interconnected, so there's nothing to be afraid of except your fear, right? Which you got to face it and then set yourself free. So yeah, that's just, I guess, a tidbit of a way to answer that.
Yeah, no. And I love that, because I do feel like, there is this tendency within more spiritual realms or psychic realms, or whatever, to kind of protect yourself and get away from, and very much like, don't look at don't look at the dark, don't look at the shadow, don't look at the fear. Like, we want to repress that, get that, like, that doesn't need to exist. But I love how,
right.
I feel like you're really good at, like, well, no, it needs to be sent love, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to, like, that's why it's there. And like, that's what we're learning. And so I think that is beautiful. And okay, so I was going to, how did you first, I mean, you touched on this a little bit, but how did you first kind of go, I might be psychic? Like, what is going on here? Like, how did that happen for you?
Okay, well, I have a funny story because I don't know if you know Craigslist, but Craigslist is kind of like a, I don't know, it's a classified ads type thing, okay? And that was before like Facebook. I think Facebook classified ads. You would use Craigslist, which I think people are kind of turning away from Craigslist. Anyway, this was a while back. Like I was this was probably a good 10 years ago, but I didn't consider myself psychic, but I was so like constantly connecting to the spirit realm, and I just wanted to challenge myself. And I just wanted to prove it to myself whether or not I was. And so I put an ad out there and say free psychic readings. Just like I just want to see if I'm psychic or not.
Right.
I only had one person take an interest in this. And it was a really unexpected question. It had to do with an invention that he was going to be like putting into some show, and he wanted to know if his invention was going to be successful or not. And I was like, oh God, really? Like, what kind of question is this? Like, that's a straight up like the randomest question. Anyway, my vague memory of it was I was tapping into an experience that was kind of like a cog that was turning, and I was kind of going through this creative, it's always creative with me, how the images transform. Like in my experience, it'll look like a story, or look like different pictures. So I was describing everything that came in, and I told him that's all I could tell you. And he actually came back with such positive commentary. I was like, really surprised, but that was very stressful because I didn't believe in myself, and I didn't want to be wrong. I was kind of embarrassing. And so I took the ad down, and I didn't want to do that again for a while. But I've been going through a lot, like getting past life readings, learning a lot of past lifetimes. And I was really exposed to alien lives. Like I was really exposed to all kinds of different ways of thinking about the soul and about the universe and about my past, and trying to understand what this means to me. As a human being that didn't feel like a psychic person, but I was also having unusual experiences, like like straight up relationships with beings from the universe that were talking to me, that would come visit me in the night, and or even during the day. And it was so nice to have such a close connection. Like I started to understand how warm and how welcoming and how beautiful the spirit realm could feel to me, or the alien beings could feel to me in comparison to human beings, because there's no they like you're all, like when you were talking about people protection, and how to keep yourself safe from what's out there. These experiences of mine before I defined myself as psychic showed me that we're all exposed, that you're constantly exposed. Like everybody's looking at you naked, everybody knows what you're doing right now. like you and you have to learn how to eventually cope with that reality. Like when you die and you get the time to process who you were and who you are, you're going to realize that you were exposed the whole time, and there's nothing you can hide. And it's you that ends up judging you in the end, not God Almighty. It's the God consciousness judging yourself, deciding if that was okay that you picked your nose, or you did this, you swindled that, or you whatever. But I guess those are just some stories that come to mind. But then again, like just once I started YouTube, that's when I started doing like readings, and I did them by email too. Like I would type out pages of what would come to me, and that took so long that then I started doing video recordings, and then I would share those recordings on YouTube. And I was only doing sessions for like $25, $35 for practically nothing. And I would videotape it. The longer ones, which I used to do like 2-hour long sessions, it was exhausting. I'll tell you what, it was very exhausting, but I felt like I was underdoing it. Like if I did an hour of work, like it was underdoing it. Anyway, so that's kind of, I guess, some of the beginnings of who I am today.
So I noticed you channel a lot of people, but I like the way you channel because, okay, you're not a trance channel. You don't like Abbey doesn't completely leave and go away. It's more like you close your eyes and it's like you're able to have conversation in your head and relay what's going on. Is that kind of how you would describe what's happening?
I would definitely. I don't feel, I mean, I guess you could say that my comfort level is to be in control. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. That's probably an ego thing, but I like to be in control. So I have access to my body, my mind. I want to be Abby, you know, when I'm having these experiences. So I literally create the thread. It's sort of like having a fishing pole and casting a line out there. You have an intention. So like I haven't shared this video yet, but I channeled Janis Joplin, for instance. So it's like, okay, Janis Joplin, I like to come hang out with you. I want to hang out with the highest vibrational version of you, but if there's any healing I can share with you, I'm open to that. So then it's like I just sort of send it out to the universe, like casting a line, and then bam, I start being introduced to information, and I feel like I'm part of that space. I have traveled, or I've journeyed, or I'm just part of that space and interacting with it, and then relaying what I see and how it makes me feel.
So I think that, like, I would define you as you are probably you're just like, you're not self-conscious. Like, you're able to do light language, or just like put yourself completely out there in ways that I hardly see anybody else doing in the exact way you're doing. So that requires quite a lot of bravery and courage. So how did you find that?
Okay, thank you. That's really cool. I take that as such a compliment. Thank you. You know, it's kind of like I guess one thing that I'm aware of is that I'm always in the way of myself, and I'm always challenging myself. So like if I feel like no way I can't do it, it's like, okay, done, I'm doing it. You know, it's like, I can't do a psychic reading. All right, then I'm putting Craigslist ad out there, and I'm going to do it. And all we can do is see what happens. And if I'm a total, like, if I'm just embarrassed and shamed by my, you know, it is what it is. I have to cope with the fact that I want to be more than what I am. The only way to find out how far I can go is to literally push the limits of my own fears, you know, with self-expression. And it is terrifying. I'll tell you what, Nikki, I go through phases where I don't know if it's the energy shifts or something that I'm working on personally, but at that time, but I go through phases where I get really, really intimidated to share, and I put myself down, and I have to deal with that just like everybody else. And I take a deep breath, and it's like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to share it. And then, you know, whatever happens, happens. I was inspired to make this message for a reason. So I guess I'll just share it. And if I embarrass myself, then I embarrass myself. But what is really embarrassment, you know? Like, so I have these conversations with me to tell me that it's safe to just be free. And if that freaks people out, like,
No,
how else are we supposed to evolve?
That's great for the human collective, though, because that really shows it. I mean, you're like a way shower of helping people be like, hey, if I could put the silliest part of what I find myself out, then like you guys, you can too. It's like it's like quite a freedom opener. I love it. I think it's really, really, really cool. Okay, so so I wrote down like just sort of a list of some of the things that you've channeled or talked to, like Elvis, Facebook energy, like even doing like gnomes and Son of Ra and aliens, and like, yeah, Lucifer and Satan and Metatron and Skinwalker Ranch and Chiron and Thor and angels, and even Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Gates and the dark side of the moon, Stevie Wonder, Egyptian gods, Jesus, Mary Magdalene, addictions, Mineral World, Merlin, Buddha, Shambhala, Nikola Tesla, like et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like even like Queen Elizabeth, the Pope, and the Dalai Lama, and singers and all this kind of stuff. So when you're doing that, do you find any kind of similarity within just the fabric of people's souls? Like once they're on the other side, you know?
Let me think about this for a minute. One thing I can tell you is that all souls are so insanely unique. Like that is one of the coolest things, because there's no two snowflakes the same. There's no two souls the same, but I can experience the soul's individual energy signature. But I also can experience the oneness where there is no separation. And so what does that mean exactly? Because we feel individuals here on earth, but we also aren't just one soul. We're a collective of souls, and we come from like a oneness, and we come from a collective of ourself, and then we come from a collective family. We come from, like, there's just so much going on here with time and space and past, present, and future all working together. So if there's a common denominator, let's see, I will say one of the things I was intrigued by was trying to figure out what manifested chaos. Like, are there souls born from chaos, or like, how does that even happen? I still don't know. I don't know how to put my finger on the answer to that as of yet. But I really feel strongly at this time in my journey that all souls actually come from light. I really feel that way, but I have come across souls that seem like pure chaos. So I would say, I still say this, but I mean, I'm still trying to understand this myself because it's complex energy. Chaos is very complex energy. Or maybe it's very simple. I mean, it is exactly as it says. It's chaos, right? Where does that come from? But souls are always trying to come home. I find that, and even the souls that are pure chaos, they will turn away. They will fight this tooth and nail. But is that the contamination? Is that really how they feel inside the depths of their soul? Or do they too want to return home to the light? Because in that light is where we shed all of the weight of our experience, the weight of our chaos, the weight of all that. And we remember who we are again. We remember the light and the love that was always there. We feel the timelessness. So I feel like if there's a common denominator, it's that we all long to feel that oneness again. We all love that energy. We all long for it. It's like the moth to the light, you know, mm-hmm. And then it's like, zap. Oh crap. I wasn't supposed to go to that light, I guess, you know, but we all long for that, you know?
So how do you define, or how do you see this ascension process working? Like, you know how there's some people who are like, oh, we're going from 3D to 5D and it's going to be a physical shift. Some people are like, no, it's more of a, you know, it's more of like we're never gonna stop evolving. It's just like another kind of step. What does this all look like for you? Like, what does the ascension process sort of kind of manifest for you? How does that work?
Okay. Man, it's been such a long journey with this term ascension. And when I discovered it, I was really excited because I felt like that really defined my calling was to help people introduce the human race to the power of their heart, to the power of love, because ascension to me is evolving into what is an awareness of each other, a feeling of connectedness, wanting to grow together instead of put each other down and create more separation. It's like an opportunity to experience the love and the mystery of each other as a good thing. So it's ascending beyond the ego. It's ascending beyond the mind that's holding us back. And then feeling free to just be in the heart space, like to just experience that heart space energy. And so I've come across this many times, like, you know, so 3D Earth, 5D Earth, when it comes to that concept, I mean, it's such an infinite universe. I really try not to define these as like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like, because for me, it's just like, there's so many layers. There's so many layers of realities going on. There's so many layers of truth. Is there just one new Earth, or is there infinite versions of Earth? And what are all those infinite versions of Earth? So you could say Earth exists in every single dimension in the universe. It too is its own life force energy. All human beings, like our energy, is connected to all dimensions. So even if we feel that, you know, Earth is this 3D plane, which I work with these terms because people relate to these terms, you know. So if we feel like we're in the 3D Earth, and some people feel like we're getting to 4D, and some people feel like we're slowly working our way to 5D or whatever. I guess, I don't want to put this. I really like people to be aware of what they're not aware of, which is we're connected to all dimensions. I'm on the same version of Earth as everybody else. My perspective, my vibrational perspective, I would say, is more tuned into the heart space, but we're all working on our egos. We're all working on our lessons here. And I am learning time after time that we just have to allow time to take place and trust in the process. Like we have to trust in the process. It's kind of like you go through a really hard time in your life and you feel like so defeated because nothing that you do is going to change anything. And you pray and you pray and you pray, and somehow, some way you work through it. And time passes and you get to look back and say, how in the world did I get from point A to point B? You know, something obviously was helping me get there. That is the same something that is helping this human race get through this thing. And so where am I at this point? I mean, I was introduced to a really mind-blowing concept in April of 2020 that like it threw such a boomerang into my like experience. I was like seeing stars as to what is the meaning of me anymore, because the message was so loud, introducing me to this concept, which again is all about ego, and I have to work through this stuff, this concept that there is no more Abbey Normal. Like Abbey Normal is no longer needed on this planet. I've already said everything I need to say, and I don't need to say anything else. And then I was shown some of these images, like these concepts that we all hear in this ascension stuff, like huge, I mean, huge alien ships, like huge, like the size of Texas, you know, near the planet. And that the rapture is actually what is the bringing, like they can see, this is what I'm shown. Okay. Well, true or not, I'll let you guys decide. But I was shown the ability to see the planet as full of lights or full of dim light. Okay, so it would help to define which souls were ready to enter into their version, like the love version. So there'd be like a separation between those souls that were ready to go to like these good human beings, these ascended, like these human beings that are working with their heart space, are going to go to the ships, and there's human beings that have been on the ships for generations, and it's time to take all of these human beings to another location where we can start as this version of the human race on another planet, and then the other version of the human race, which is still working through ego lessons, would remain here. And I was introduced to that I was no longer needed, and that I was never really that I had a different role, that I was never, it was really just to help me get through these lessons and to the time when I would be moved to some other planet. And it's just like in my mind, just like, okay, blah, 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 blah. Like the reason why I react that way is because I don't want to feed into these concepts, because you don't tell me the stuff like, but you hear that out there. You hear about the ships and the rapture and the human beings going to, like, you can hear about stuff like this, but I don't necessarily feed into all that. If I'm meant to go somewhere, then I'll go somewhere in that divine time. But my mind can't understand this. My mind can't conceive of this. So if I'm done, then I guess what do I do? Like, I'll just wait. I'll wait for the ships to come, you know? So obviously I keep the door open. I'm all about Star Trek reality. Like I'm all about that, man. So, okay, cool. Well, when you're ready to come get me, come get me. But I'm just going to just keep doing all that I know how to do. But I will say that really hurt me, because it got me deeply, deeply, deeply thinking, because I had suspected I would be Abbey Normal for the rest of my life. You know, I'd be this, this was just that's what I would be. And then it got me thinking that, my God, is there something beyond this that I'm not opening my mind up to? Maybe this message is reaching me and it's being interpreted in this way in order to like shake me to the core, to get me opening up to the limitless potential, because I'm holding on to this idea that I've defined as me for the rest of my life. So again, it's like, it's asking us to just stay open, you know, trust in the process. Don't get wrapped up into these concepts that the alien beings are just going to come. So you just wait for them to be here and then everything's going to be fine. You got to keep living. You got to keep following your heart. It's your life. Like, don't get sucked into that, you know? And that did. I needed a long time to really process myself. And I feel like I'm getting back into the groove in 2021, which feels pretty good, to be honest. So, yeah.
It's very bizarre and kind of interesting, because so like even the reason I started my YouTube channel, which I started 2 years ago, was like me and my friend were talking, and I also have alien beings and stuff like that. But like I had these light beings that came in to my room like in 2008, and I was in India, and they kind of showed me like some bleak stuff about how two came to the side, two came to the side. They were very telepathic. They were talking to me and saying like that that the planet was gonna flip poles, and that they needed to take people off planet while like water settled and stuff, and that there's people like me that were beacons or something that were going to be awakened to like help people to get, and that they can only, but this was what's interesting about, they were like, we can only see certain people. It's not personal. It's just like we can't like physically see everybody.
Mhm.
Like you have to have a certain frequency for us to even be able to detect that you're there. And then they were talking about how like they're going to it's like a big timeline thing, and they're going to try to push it back as long as they can, and like they will anyway. I was like, who are you exactly? Like that's and then so for a while I was kind of, that was in 2018, so I lived in fear a little bit of that happening during that year, and then nothing happened, and I just kind of thought to myself like, well, maybe that is my overactive imagination. I really don't know what that was or not. But I will say, I have noticed that, I don't know if it's just like a way of people finding their tribe, or people that are kind of like more like them, or what, or like people are kind of coming together. But it seems to me more and more people are being like a concept, like the conversation like this that we're having doesn't scare them, or it isn't something that they would necessarily, like when I was 18, like I'm 38 now. When I was 18, I would have not even be able to get this far in a conversation about this. I would have been like, those are some crazy chicks off. And I would say that most people that I was around would have as well. But yet you have 20,000 subscribers. There's people with there's like Ralph Smart with millions of people, that like there's Aaron Doherty, like these people have millions of people listening to this, like stuff about this kind of thing. And something's going on. I feel like there is a little bit of our consciousness is starting to go like, wait, let's self-examine. Why are we here? What is going on? Is there something more to this? Is this the only thing the story is about?
Yeah.
I feel that too.
Oh my God, I love everything you had to say. And first off, thank you for sharing your story with me, because it's so cool to hear what goes on in other people's worlds from their own psychic experiences. So just like listening to you talking about this is like, man, there's some of those ego conversations in there, but I guarantee it was a real psychic experience. What was the purpose of that? Why did it have to be said that way? Was that like the way that it was being expressed? Your ego just translated it in that way? No matter what, like I find like that's a perfect example. And it's very similar to my own situation, and that my experience that I had, because it reaches your ego. It does. And it just kind of rattles your cage, and it kind of sets you off a little bit, like it tilts you, like tips you. And then you really have to get nitty gritty and get down to the woodwork of within yourself as to what does this mean to me, So there's huge growth that comes from those types of interactions, for those types of messages. But I'm really like careful on like saying this is the legit truth. It kind of reminds me of the dark ball, the light, like you know what I'm talking about. There's those types of messages out there, like, the dark cabal is taking over now. Oh, the light is coming out. Dark cabal, goodbye. And like years and years of this message, like when is this ever going to end,
Right. But when really we are all one in a way. Like from my perspective is like I had a giant ego death with mushrooms one time. Like this was like 4 years ago. And I went back to what I perceived as the electricity source, the source of everything. And when I was in that expression, I would say, like when I felt like I was there thousands of years, like way longer than and I didn't know I was a human anymore. Didn't know I was a girl, didn't know anything. When I came, and it was all fractals. Everything was just like fractal energy, and you knew everything at once. And there was not so much of, I'm not so sure what that was. It was, but I do feel like it was the core creation of the source and anything. Anyway, when I came out of it, I realized that from my perspective, it doesn't know why existence exists to begin with. It's always existed. It always will exist. Or that's how I think it felt. Like infinity is like a real thing. And it fragmented itself into infinite amount of possibilities in order to learn about itself. So like, I feel like we are all an aspect of God, if you want to call it, or create, or source, or whatever, trying to figure pieces of itself out, and trying to understand like the why of why it exists. It knows it has, and know it does. It doesn't know the why.
Yeah.
which is, I don't know if that's true or if that was my ego interpreting it like that, you know, I don't know.
I think that was incredible. And again, I'm loving this story right now because it's just so cool to see the spirit realm through other people's eyes. I would definitely define that as like a legit translation, because you have to remember, we have to bring this information back through the language process, through a human's standpoint of it. How else are we supposed to explain it? Like literally, how are you supposed to explain that?
There was no English language sentences happening. But, you know.
Yeah. So when you have that like profound moment where you understand it, then you have you feel it, you understand it, like it's your, like, this is a real moment here, and you can't deny that. Like it is part of your soul, like awareness of that truth. And I feel like that's a really incredible truth that I relate to a lot. And then having to define it, like I like how you call it like this electrical source kind of thing, like it was this like electrical ball or something. That like is totally like a great way to call it, like God, electrical source, like all the different ways you could define God. I really like that a lot. Gosh. And I wanted to tell you something else, Nikki, because you had asked me what I thought about how people, it does seem like people are coming out of the woodwork and being more open-minded to these conversations. I really do agree with you there. And that came to me probably, I don't know, like, let's just say 10 years ago, maybe 8 years or 7 years, because Reiki started to become really a big deal, and people started to become attracted to crystals, and people started to become like, this started to be like, I started to know that notice the church was becoming less of an importance. People are wanting to be more open-minded churches. And there's even TV shows introducing psychic abilities and things like this. So people are being more introduced to something beyond, even questioning, life after death and these types of things, near-death experiences, like conversations like this are becoming more popular. The past life, there's just so much information coming out of the woodwork about past lives, where that was like a Buddhist thing. Now it's becoming just like part of the whole world. We're all starting to think about this whole reincarnation process. All the hypnosis people who their clients had regressed into these other lifetimes, and then they're writing these books about it. So like people are starting to wonder what, it's kind of the breakdown of the religious, the religions and the bringing forth of a new experience, a new way of perceiving it. Like another thing too, deceased loved ones. That's a really big deal, because when people die, like that you love, deceased pets as well, like you really want to feel their spirit close to you. You really want to have that. And it can even open you up to spirituality when things like that happen. Maybe there's a bad car accident or a bad, some event, and it really shakes you to the core and has you asking these questions. I do feel like people are wanting more than this, but also at the same time, we have this frictiony thing, where we have the ascension, where I want to know more about love. I want to know more about spirit realm. I want to know more about my infinite soul. Here, watch TV. Here's a really cool cell phone. Exactly. And it's like, so what is our future? Is it like a robotic, a transformation away from the heart and into the head? Or is it a transformation away from the head and into the heart? And so we have these like two sides going on, and you can't deny that it does feel to a degree that the human race, you could say, has a split between those who just really resonate with the cell phone and the electronics and the world that they don't need the spirit realm conversation. But there's those people who really do want to have that. So it's kind of an interesting world right now. So, I mean, I guess that's where we're at.
Yeah. And I do feel like there is an intentionality to program you to go into like the, like, that's what celebrity is. And it's interesting because like now I'm starting, the older I'm getting, the more I'm breaking out of like, actually, why should I know actors' names? Like, why should I know? I mean, like the whole thing is just, I'm kind of starting to break out and go like, okay, no, I want to focus on things that are going to uplift me as a soul and make me feel better and help me to give me tools that'll help me maybe progress. Like, I don't want to, I don't watch murder mysteries anymore. Like,
Yeah.
that's the worst energy I could possibly want entrenched in. I
I,
watch Abbey Normal, or, you know, I watch something like that, you know, like that I want to,
right.
that might give me some sort of, you know, like extra, oh, I hadn't thought of it that way, you know?
I love that, Nikki. I'll tell you what, I'm just like everybody else. Like, I'm starving for more than this world. Like I'm starving for alien races and super different technology and different types of musical instruments and ways that people express themselves in dance and song. And there's so many talented people, you know, and I was thinking that, you know, like you can't deny there's something in a boost depression and anxiety and all these difficult emotions. Like, it's becoming louder. Like we're being, maybe it's always been this way, but we're hearing more about it. It seems to be, we're saturated with these emotional challenges. The earth is dying. And I feel like people are getting, it's like, there's so much, the negative gets shoved down, but I actually feel like that encouragement to break you down with the negativity is actually what's pushing us to say, I want to be free. Now I do light language now. I want to dance. I want to do Reiki. I want to understand the spirit realm. I want to understand ways to help the planet. And so I think that could be a tool for imprisonment, but I think that tool could be actually, you know, the tool we need to break that tool down and choose something more positive, because we're starving for it, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you. I really do. So let's talk about the energy healing real quick and the frequency stuff. So how do you, how does energy healing, like, how do you feel it in your hands? Like, do you see stuff? Like, how does it work for you?
Okay. I guess,
and how did you get into that?
you know what? I think I always was doing it. I just didn't have, because it's so different. Like, I didn't have any way to understand what I was doing, you know, because psychic people are people who, you ask this question, you know, what are the lottery numbers, or what is, you know, these like shallow things, you know, it's kind of like that. And I was different. Like, I can't tell you the answer, but I can tell you something beneath the surface of your question. I can tell you something about the way your question makes me feel, you know? And I found, like, because I didn't know yet. So Joseph Bradley and I were very close. And I met him shortly after I started my YouTube channel. I met some other absolutely incredible people. And I felt so blessed, because doing YouTube was a sign that being yourself is exactly as you need to be. Because at that time, I was still like along the lines of, you know, my parents want me to get a good education and a good job. And you still carry that with you for years. Like, and you want that for yourself, and you want a family, and you want, you know, but you're never really yourself, and you don't even know it. Like, you don't even know that you're not being yourself yet. And so when I did YouTube, I started to feel like myself, and I met people that valued me, which gave me the permission to value myself, you know? And so I met Joe is one of the people that I met. I met a bunch of amazing people. And I kind of vented to him about some of the difficult things that I've been going through. And he was doing journeys. Okay. It was his thing that he was always searching for a master teacher, never found one. So the master teacher he found was himself. Same thing. I'd been searching for a master teacher. I'd put it out there for years, even when I was in college. Like, I feel like there's something more than this master teacher, you know? And I found the master teacher in me too. But Joe really helped me, because once he did a journey on me, it clicked. And it's like, I've been doing this my whole life. I've been doing this journey thing my whole life. You just did a journey on me, and I've been doing that my whole life. So I'm going to do a journey on you. So when I did a journey on him, and it proved so much to me. That's when I started doing the sessions. But so I'm going to tell you kind of how it works. Give me a second here, because it's like I just do it. So like now I got to think of how like that works.
How do you break that down? Yeah.
Okay. So when I could do this with my eyes open, because I used to, when I was at work, I used to talk to all my alien friends, and I'd type on the computer with my eyes open, but I was never like, I couldn't just close my eyes. I had to learn how to communicate with the spirit realm, my alien friends with my eyes open. So it was like I was working, but really I was having like a conversation. So I could do it with my eyes open, but I found that because I was doing it all the time, it was bothering my eyes. So close my eyes. and I feel energy, and I'm really into chakras. I even went on a really long study about chakra removal because I figure, let's see if chakra removal exists. Like, I'm just going to say chakra removal exists, and then let's just remove chakras. Let's just see what happens. Only to learn that chakras are people, personalities, infinite universes, and you can encourage them to develop relationships with each other. And when you encourage a relationship, for instance, between your crown chakra and your third eye and your throat and your heart and all these, but you encourage them to have a relationship within the center of your heart. So you're kind of like moving the chakras into your heart space and then expanding like your soul star chakra and earth star chakra. You start to feel a part of the oneness. But it's through feeling everything. And so feel it like I guarantee, Nikki, you could do this. I guarantee you could do this. So you have to start somewhere, right? So somebody comes to you and says, hey, I have a backache. Okay. So what you do is say, okay, I'm going to help this person with a backache, but you don't go to their back. Okay. You just say, I'm going to help this person with their backache. And then you see what comes up, by exploring the images and the feelings that come to you. Like, oh man, you know what? This about your backache, they're not even taking me your backside. Like, I feel something like way out of balance in your heart. Oh man. Like, cause you can start to feel this stuff in your body. Like, my hands are not getting hot. I don't feel like any heat. What I feel is kind of like sensitivity. Like, you ever get like that butterfly in your stomach feeling, like a good butterfly or a really bad butterfly? It's like that. So I start to feel like, oh, there's a weird feeling in my stomach. Oh, there's a weird feeling in my getting a headache. I'm getting pressure on my third eye. I'm starting to feel shame, just like filling out my whole being. This gets louder and louder and louder over the years. The more that I do this work, the more sensitive I am. So once I close my eyes, that's triggering that I'm ready to open up. But right now, like us talking, I'm not doing a journey. So I'm not talking to spirit realm and talking to you at the same time. I'm just talking to you right now. So I separate my connection with the spirit realm. Like I have my human experience, and then I have my spirit realm experience. And that's how I keep balanced. But when I close my eyes and I say I'm ready for that spirit realm experience, that's when I start to feel all this stuff, like just would be like the butterflies in your stomach. But then you start to feel like I'm gagging in my throat. I'm starting to feel like, the headache, or wow, my head feels really tight up here. So I start to feel things in different parts of my body, and they remind me of chakra balances. Like they remind me of so many things. Memories come to me. And so that's why I just talk through everything that comes to me. And that's how I do energy work, because as I feel those things, I'm transmuting it. I'm digesting it. I'm part of the infinite sunlight. Like, I'm part of the love of all, and that love digests things. I want to tell you something, Nikki. This is interesting. I was introduced to this back in the beginning, but it was the concept, and Metatron helped me with this, the concept that I could consume someone's poison. Okay. Usually we would think, so I would take their poison and then put it inside myself. So I would now carry their burden. No, you take their energy and you digest it in the love within yourself. So your love is like the ultimate furnace. It is the sunlight. It is the transmuter. So when I connect with somebody, they're opening up their energy field. I'm going through it. I'm going through the many catacombs of their soul. And the whole time I'm digesting their vulnerabilities, their insecurities. I'm talking them at the conscious level because they're watching the session later. So I'm talking them at the subconscious level because I'm going inside themselves and listening and experiencing their vulnerabilities. I'm doing all of this, and it's all guided by spirit, because as a human being, I can't figure this out. But as this infinite soul with all my guides and all of our guides and God and everything, because we're all connected, I'm always shown exactly what that soul needs at this time. So yeah, that's how it works.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. I mean, because I've done a couple of, well, like by a couple, I mean, like I've done 5 different kinds of energy healing trainings. I've done like arcing light, or like Reiki, or I've done, I've done a bunch of those different kinds. And in the end, I ended up kind of going like, well, you get the point, you get what they're talking about. You get like, you kind of almost understand how to feel the energy. And then I think everybody in the world is capable of doing that if they wanted to. And then you just know how to transmute it yourself. For me, I don't really have clients, and I don't actually really want to have clients.
You want to have clients, Nikki. You're talkative, you're sociable. I guarantee you would love it.
Now, maybe I would. I never thought about having clients before, but I learned it for self-healing and just for like, because I think it's a really interesting and good tool to like have in your kit in general.
Yeah.
So,
oh my God, yeah.
You know, just as a human being incarnate, you should probably learn that, hey guys, like every single cell in your body when it splits, like is using electricity. Like we are electric beings. There is energy to us. And there's a way in which it, like chakras are real. And you have, and it's interesting because I feel like we can see so many people out of balance and all this stuff. But if we just kind of learned how to even on a basic level heal ourselves, the world would be so much more amicable.
And why wouldn't you want to? You know what I mean? Like, who doesn't want to? like I don't need healing. Wait, what? You're telling
Everybody
me you don't need healing? We all need more love, man. It's the truth.
It really, really, really is. So would you consider yourself, or do you identify as a starseed, or how do that, what does that term do for you?
Okay. I've been through a very long phase with this. I really try to avoid having an identity, you know, like I'm a Pleiadian, I'm an Arcturian, I'm
right.
I'm a starseed. Like I try to avoid that because I know my soul's like this infinite expression. I don't really know. Let me just pause for me because I really want to process how I want to answer that exactly. Like I'm asking myself right now, I'm kind of slightly in a dreamy state, but I'm asking myself, okay, Abby, are you a starseed? Let me see what my heart feels about that. I guess my heart is like a little child showing me that I love to plant seeds in other people's hearts, reminding people about love. And if love can come from the stars, then by golly, I'm a star seed. That sounds like the message that comes to me. So let's say yes to that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I hear, you know, that's like another of the terms that is heard and thrown around a lot. I mean,
do you feel like you're a starseed?
Yeah, I do, but it's one of those things where, what are the stars even? You know, what are aliens even? I've had alien experiences. I'm have been super down the journey of obsessed with all outer space and everything.
Totally.
But at the same time, it's like, you know, when I would go back to like the core electricity of the entire world, like what are we one cell on a giant elephant? Like, I don't know, like, you know, is that all of our universe within that? I don't really know what anything really is or isn't. So it's more like, okay, maybe a starseed could, for me, almost be defined as, do I think that my soul has been incarnated in other expressions besides this and in other planets besides this? Yeah, I think my soul's been infinite. And so, and I think everyone's has. So in a way, yes. And I have had a little bit attraction and connection to things that I assume are extraterrestrial. So yeah, yes. Okay, the short answer is yes. I do.
I mean, and just hearing you talk about it too, it's just like, you know, I'm curious what you think about this, Nikki, but okay, so they say, you know, with this topic that there's those souls that originate, like those souls were first born here into Earth, and then you have star seeds that are come down that are bringing their library of information, their soul's energy and experiences that have been attuned to other races and other ways of doing things in order to help these souls evolve. And you could even kind of see that, you know, these human beings who are attracted to the ego are kind of like the original souls, and these ones that understand about love are kind of like the star seeds, but maybe not, like maybe we're all just a part of the universe, like we're all just a part of the universe. And so I mean, even for me to try to explain, you know, like what were you thinking?
Well, with that, like I always have like this visualization of like, okay, maybe we're into this, like we're like, oh, like we're looking at these other possibilities of what existence is. But
Yeah.
okay, when I was in I'll say it like this. I also realized that this is the fact that we can single focus on each other is a gift.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
because when you are in spirit expression and higher,
Mhm.
there's way more going on than we currently have going on. And so
Mhm.
sometimes I wonder if this isn't like a vacation. Like some
Yeah.
people, they didn't want to like think about things. They really just wanted to
Yeah.
do nothing, or
Yes.
and like that's
Yes.
cool. We're at different phases.
Mhm.
Like we're
Yeah.
like, if we're in a popcorn bag, we all pop at like the different
Yeah.
minute. Like we're not popping all at once.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
we're popping differently, and it's cool if they just want to be a kernel for that bag.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool. That's fine.
I love how you put that, because that's kind of how I've always felt, was that we're all at different levels of growth and development. And so I kind of stay away, and that might be my relationship with ego. And I try to avoid like creating labels or creating, because I feel like we're all this is a school of life, and our souls are attracted to being here at this time. And so like we all are coming in with a unique thread of information. Every soul is a unique thread of information, and us just walking around, even if we're not talking to each other, we're like sharing our vibes with one another, even if we're not talking to one another. We're sharing our vibes with the earth. The earth is reading our souls and our energy patterns. Like, but yet in another version of truth, we're all just smack dab one infinite energy. And then in another version of truth, we're all separated into all these different parts, So it's like there's so many versions of truth. So it comes back to, well, am I a star seed, or am I just like part of everything? So even I struggle to define my answer to that.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess a lot of it is kind of memory, right? Are a lot of us starting to get snippets of memory back? Like, what are dreams? And I feel like a lot of times, like for me, I have two past life memories that I have kind of cleared. And the way I say that they're past life memories is because they feel more like a memory feels to me. They feel just like I could be like, oh, like some event that happened to me when I was in the 5th grade, this thing feels like that, versus it could, I mean, like, versus just having a dream or just having an imagination. And I don't think we should completely discount dreams either. Like,
Right.
dreams are amazing. But I don't know if everybody has that or not, or if they do have elements of these things, but we push them down, and we aren't like encouraged to even look at what memories do you have. So I don't know. I mean, I do kind of feel like everybody is, like there's like that Dolores Cannon. A lot of people talk about those non-player characters, like people who are just kind of shells of people. I don't believe that. I think even if you're deciding to come be Hitler or whatever, I feel like it's some sort of growth for us all.
Yeah. Speaking of which, there are neutral souls, and so neutral souls can play big roles. I still, a neutral soul is a very unusual thing. I haven't come across it much, but perhaps what's being referenced there is more like a neutral soul that isn't. I don't know how to define that. Bringing up something that is still like, I'm still studying it, and I don't have enough examples, but Hitler, I would define Hitler as a neutral soul. So a neutral soul could really impact the planet, because in a way, like what are his emotions? What is his relationship with his own actions, with what took place? Was he really a demonic guy, or was he just a neutral soul that needed to create an imprint, a ripple of catastrophe? Was it really Hitler, or did he welcome like a demonic being to overcome himself? Like there's way, like the way that we perceive the way things are isn't always what it looks like on the energy side of things. So you could have like like this whole topic of different types of learning experiences, different ways that people express themselves, how souls cope with their reality, how souls like really separate from the body and just kind of go through the routine. But deep down inside, everybody there's something else there. There's always something more going on there. Self-discovery is like such an incredible pathway. I don't know. I just felt prompted to say that stuff.
Yeah, I love that. And I also was gonna say, okay, well, who do you follow? What are some other things that you're interested? Like for me, like right now, a big thing that has caught me on 2020 is inner earth. I'm like looking into,
Oh,
beings that might have come from inside earth and stuff. And like they're the Tuatha De Danann, like there's all kinds of crazy stories from all over the world of almost like the fairyland and cultures like that going underground. And so I don't know, what kind of other stuff what do you on your off time when you're not talking to spirit world, what kind of stuff are you interested in?
hmm. Hmm. I feel like I've done so, like, I just do as much human stuff as I possibly can. So I guess what I'm interested in is always trying to understand, like I'm very into this human psychology. I'm interested in the human emotion. I'm interested in what are other people interested in themselves and why that intrigues them. What are people afraid of? So what I find is such an adventure is people, human beings, but also learning about people, what's on the inside of people. I guess what I'm not really exploring anything outside the box in particular, other than really focusing on human experiences right now. Just the enjoyment of connecting with others, just through my YouTube channels, kind of learning more about what people are interested in, and then exploring those interests through videos.
Do you
So yeah,
within
I don't know if that's like an
you
interesting answer, but
are you able to like you kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but like when you're going to the grocery store or something, like
mhm, mhm.
do you get messages? Are you able to be like, okay, hey, I just need to be here in the real world now? Like does that kind of bother you at all ever? Do you get
I don't, because I'm very specific. Like, when I do my human time, I do my human time. And when I do my spiritual time, I do my spiritual time. So, and if I need, like, I'm having too human of an experience and I need to separate, I will go to another room and then I will open up to the spirit realm. So if I'm walking around Walmart, I don't just let spirits talk to me. I don't do that. I think I don't know, that's my coping mechanism, or maybe that's my control nature, or but I feel like that's how I stay balanced, because I've even heard from people who just like, and I just start getting messages, I just start feeling this and I touch that, now I can't even cope, like I'm shaking off my chair. It's like, you got to get control. You got to decide, you either live your life feeling out of control of yourself, or feeling overwhelmed by what's out there, or you learn what works for you. And it's okay to tell the universe, I need this, I need this, I need this. This is what I need right now in order to feel balanced. And so I choose to explore, what do I need in order to experience balance? And so I do that. So even like, you have empathic people who really like take on other people's, it's like, oh, I'm around all these sick people and now I feel sick. Like there has to be a way where you create some kind of balance with your talent, with your gift of being empathic, and then with the human experience, where it's not your responsibility just because you're looking at them. Now you're kind of seeing it and absorbing it with your eyes into your body, and now you're feeling it. You've got to find a way to kind of create some kind of balance. I mean, I feel that's important.
and part of your tools, are you a big meditator, or like within your spiritual practice? Yeah.
I walk a lot. I find that I walk a lot. I talk to myself a lot. I need to hear myself talk to myself about my life experiences, because I'm always interpreting my own emotions. I'm always wanting to learn about myself, about why do I feel that way? Am I letting the feeling control me, or am I setting myself free from that feeling? And sometimes you have to go through life with, patience and perseverance. Sometimes you can get lost in being too patient. You need to speak up more. I find these things intriguing. But I feel like I've been so blessed to have so many opportunities to work with people. So I get plenty of time in. Like when I heal a client, I'm healed. So I get so much healing every single day by healing other people. And then I take walks, and that sort of clears my energy field. I talk to the universe a lot. I talk to myself a lot, and I find that very balancing for me as a human being. But yeah. And so meditating, I do self-healing, like I do journeys on myself. So if I'm going through, like I'm feeling off today, I'll explore my chakra balance. I'll bring myself into balance. Sometimes I don't get to, like, I'll try to bring this, whatever this weird moment is, into balance. And I just have to go through it. I just have to just live with it. So yeah.
No, yeah, that's great. Like, I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like a lot of people have like, oh, you have to, they're, what do you call it? They're, hardcore. You have to do this in this sequence. You have to do these in this,
Oh my
this
God.
systems, or, and I
Yeah.
find that to be a little, for me, I meditate when I need to meditate, or I do
Yeah.
things as I need to do them, not
Yeah.
like as regimented as
I don't.
part of me wishes I could be, but
Yeah, I'm not good with regiment. I really am not. And I go through phases. So sometimes I'll be using affirmations. Sometimes I won't be able to walk. I just simply am not able to get my walking time in. Sometimes I'm just so busy, I'm not able to have my self therapy where I just talk about things. So life is just always so like a roller coaster. So I just do what feels right at the time, you know? And I encourage people to do what feels right for them at the time, because sometimes we think we need to be doing something because it sounds like something we should be doing. But is that because you think you should be doing it, or because it feels right to you right now? So you have to really tune into what is the instinct at the time, which can be confusing because of our mind, you know, and we're introducing yoga and breathing exercises and meditation, and you should do this, you know. It's like you say, but I feel just like you. I just have to do what feels right in the moment. So it's always kind of shifting and changing. But I will say, client sessions, I really that is very stabilizing. It's I love the practice. I love meeting new souls. I love being introduced to the spirit realm through the experiences of other human beings. I learn so much. I like thrive in that environment, and I heal a lot from that environment. So I'm always in that state, you know. I get that every day, you know.
very, very cool. All right, Miss Abbey, this has been awesome. So is there anything that I didn't ask that maybe you would have liked, like, feel compelled to touch on before we go here?
I would like to know, I would like to know a little bit more, I guess, about you, Nikki, and why, like, can you like fill me in on just more about who you are and how you felt inspired to be who you are today? I would like to know more.
I am, okay, so I am a kid who, like, I had some alien experiences my whole life. I used to think I could control the rain. I always was in conversation with something else. And then I went through like a big dark night of the soul in my 20s, probably probably from 25 to maybe 29. I was complete atheist. Like, I was just like, we are nothing but just turn off like computers when we die. And I didn't want to be that, but that's what I was believing at the time. I had gotten really deep into the whole of you know, kind of reading a bunch of like Sam Harris and Richard Dawkins and a lot of this atheist stuff, and I was like kind of buying into that dogma for a little bit, and I didn't like it and stuff. And then honestly, I just started having weird psychic experiences. Like I had this thing where I'm a streetlight interferer. I can turn off streetlights just by my emotions. And so that's how I started working with energy, because I was like, dude, I'm a flight attendant. So I would go in and I turned off the plane twice. And then I was like, all right, that's it. This stuff's real. Something's wrong. I got to go get this fixed. So, because I don't want to hurt people or other stuff. And so then I went like on a big energy healing journey. And this was, you know, it kind of started in 2012. And I started having more UFO experiences, seeing UFOs, having conversations with stuff. And then I just, I have a master's in art history. I've always been like, and also a geology minor. I've always been into kind of ancient archaeology stuff. I've always been like, what is our real story of humans? I've never sort of bought what they told us. And so now I just, the last 2 years, I was kind of barely tipping my toes in YouTube. And then now I've decided, okay, I'm going to start interviewing a bunch of people. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try to do it all the time. Cause like, I love talking about this stuff. It's fun.
It
and
is. It really
and I ultimately would love to take people on journeys. Like, that's why I'm called like Nikkiana Jones. Is like, I wanted like Indiana Jones. I want to take people to Chaco Canyon or to places where you can see UFOs and you can see ancient ruins, and we can talk about like, hey, what really went on here? What is going on here? What is all this?
Yeah.
So that's me in a nutshell.
I freaking love that so much. You have so many stories to tell. Well, good for you for everything you've been through and getting to this point. I mean, I think like life is going to unravel some exciting experiences for you, like just naturally, because you're doing what you love, you know?
Yeah.
And
yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's I mean, you know, like, and I'm also hoping like with YouTube, I start meeting like more of my tribe, and a lot of the people that I'm interviewing, I'm kind of going like, man, like I have so many similarities to these people, and I'm like this is so cool. I mean, I wish that things would open up for everybody to be able to. I would love to go to like a conference or you know, things like that. It's something again.
Yeah.
Maybe they will soon.
But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway,
thank you so much for sharing your story with me.
You're welcome.
I've really enjoyed connecting with you, and I'm really intrigued by your like gift of turning off things. Like I have had the odd time where I've turned my laptop off, I've turned my computer off. So I know that I can do this, and it's usually when I'm in this like emotionally busy state, or I'm like really kind of like emotionally ruffled. I stall things. Like I'll stop the internet. Stop.
Actually, that's a big part of the streetlight interferers, or they say that it's like almost like a fight or flight, like whenever that sort of emotion comes in. For me, I could, when I turned off the airplanes, I was frustrated, and I didn't have myself in control, and I literally felt energy from my heart center go like boom, and I was like, oh no, and the whole like power and like one side of the plane went boom 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 boom, and we had to like divert, and I'm like, I didn't do it, I didn't do anything, like that wasn't me.
And a lot of people would agree you probably didn't do it, right? But you freaking did do it.
Yeah, I know I did it.
There's so much talent out there, Nikki. Like, you have talent, man, and you're discovering it. Like, you're Nikkiana Jones for yourself too. Like, you are yourself an adventure. Like, you've got more to you, and I think you're going to discover some really great things. I mean, you're already talking about extraordinary experiences, interacting with UFOs. What interests you on your path, you know? And it's like guiding you to this point. And I really feel like you open up Pandora's box of yourself. Like, I think there's more to all this. I think there's, man, you got to, you just say, show me higher self, show me more about my electricity, my relationship with electricity and source, and turning things off. And, you know, like,
you know, and I think, but like, even things are coming online, I think, for other people. Like, I'm kind of crazy because I like believe in superpowers and stuff, but I think telepathy is coming back. I can feel it. Like, sometimes I can hear other people's thoughts, and I'm like, and it's not just me. I know a lot of people that are starting to, we are going to learn how to, or some of us are, I hope, are going to learn what to really do with this electricity. And I think that is super exciting.
Man. That gives me chills to hear you say that. Oh man, that could be your niche. Like, you and electricity, like that could be your niche. Because that's like a unique thing. Like, defining yourself, your gift and your talent has to do with electricity. Like, what psychic person says that, you know? Like, you should say, show me what my psychic niche is with electricity, like, and start practicing something, you know? I was the same way. Joe's the same way. Like, a lot of people that are like us, like, I used to practiced trying to move things with my hands at very young ages. I also felt like I could control the rain myself. I also just naturally felt those ways. Like it did make sense that I couldn't move things with my hand. That confused me, you know? And I would try and try and try and try. I couldn't do it. I always felt like there was more to all of this. There was always more to all of this. And I was always trying to figure that out. And then journeys is my technique and my way to seeing what's beneath the surface and the surface and the surface and the surface. Because I'm all about truth. Like I really want to know about the truth, you know? And what I find is the truth. It has to do with, you got to put the ego aside, and you explore it through feelings, the way that information comes to me just naturally without judging it. And that's the closest I can get to the truth. But I also want to know myself, and obviously I can tap into just about anything, like I really can. But they don't just reveal to me what is the true history of Earth. They reveal to me how infinite the earth is and how many layers of truth there are. And it's like, well, show me some layer that's connected to this version of earth that I'm on right now, you know? But it's just like, for whatever reason, like even I am not like allowed to access it. I'm just allowed to grow in my awareness of how truly infinite this world is. That's freaking boring anymore. Like I want tangible facts.
I know, man. But it's interesting. Just like when I start learning more and more, I mean, like my biggest thing that I've recently learned about it, and you should look into this, it's crazy.
Okay.
It's terra preta. Terra preta is soil that is in Australia, Africa, and the Amazon forest, and it is intentionally made. It basically means, if you really look into terra preta, it means that the Amazon forest was planted intentionally.
Oh my God, no way.
Parts of Australia and Africa. Like it's not like a joke. It's not like the spiritual people thing. It's like real stuff. And you're going like, wait, what? Who intentionally planted the Amazon forest? Like, we need to talk about that. We should be talking about like that. That's weird that we're not talking about that.
Heck yeah, we do.
Yeah. And so
it as something that was planted like a garden. It's so cool.
No, it was planted like a garden, and all of those roots and all of those things that we like, they were intentionally planted. It's crazy. I mean,
I'm so glad you brought that up. Yeah. I just did a video. I haven't shared it yet on the Nazca lines, and they were talking about like future humans. So this really goes to show how many timelines of Earth are there and what version of these human beings are we. Like, so like going back in time to place this library upon the planet, which is all like, basically these Nazca lines are perfect geometrical science in a way, like a program that is absorbed into the Earth computer, and that it gives us the access. Like if we were to walk these lines, or if we just visualize ourselves just lying on these lines, these images, we are going to absorb into our energy field, into our DNA, and it'll evolve us out of our own ego very easily. And there's like these builders from the future that came into the past, Earth past. That's what it was like to me. That's what it felt like to me.
Interesting.
That did the Nazca lines, that did some of these pyramids, you know, like, so they created a library that could not be destroyed, so to speak. Like it's not like it was something that we might not be able to understand or interpret it. So if we don't try to interpret and we just become a part of it, it will naturally absorb into us, and after generations will evolve into some kind of awareness. So it was a gift, an opportunity for us to work with something that we couldn't understand, that would help us to grow without realizing it. That's what it was like.
That's really crazy. See, because I always feel like I have, but it's evolving, but I always feel like I have a little bit of I start getting more pieces and pieces of the puzzle of what was going on. And I do feel like there was a time on the planet where we were not physical. It was almost like ghost going around, and like it was and then I do feel like I do think there was Lemuria and Atlantis. Like I do think they were, and I think they were advanced beings, or not advanced. I mean, they were more advanced than what we even currently have. And I ascribe to they nuked each other. I think there was a nuclear war.
Wow.
And then I think we are basically living as the fifth race on the planet in the rubble. And trying to, and with no memory of like, you know, so I don't really know exactly how everything fits together, but I've looked into so many different things. And so we all start slowly piecing together some stuff that might have really happened. But another one of my crazy things is like, I have a past life, two of my past life memories are, one is like I'm a giant cat being.
Wow.
And which is interesting because you have that little cat being right behind you there.
I do.
But that is my job as that being. Was I was a recorder. I would go to planets and I would record stuff for a galactic library center or whatever. But one of the things that I thought was interesting is that I've heard in my head multiple times being of the builder race.
Oh, wow.
Of the builder race. And I'm kind of going like, what does that mean? But
Yeah.
part of me thinks it might have to do with some of these ancient ruins, which is why I am so attracted to a lot of these things.
Yeah, totally. Oh man, I'm so into what you just said right there. Joe feels like he feels like he's been on earth for a very long time, like even with some of the beginning, like where you were saying that we were not physical yet. Joe really relates to like the biblical version where it was like he experiences as we were angels, that were kind of attracted to this earth space, and we slowly materialized. But some like there's, I mean, he said it so many times I don't even think I'm doing it justice, because he feels like he remembers like a fairy tale war, kind of like the Hobbit or the Lord of the Rings.
Yes, I actually
was a part of that
the other day because I thought
oh, did you?
like, there needs I started thinking, well, the fairy realm is real. That stuff
Yeah,
is really
totally
real. So
absolutely.
What does he think happens?
Well, oh man, he said so many different things. Like he was part of like these angels that were humans, like they could do extraordinary things, like jump really far, really high, and like your body was free and you didn't feel aches and pains, and you lived for a long time. You got to decide when you wanted to leave. But there were different like kind of levels of I guess awareness, where there's some of them I don't really understand it all, because he said it to me so many times that it's just like I don't know, I phase out sometimes. But but he's talking about how these demons were trying to encourage, they're kind of like the angels and the humans got together. Like now I'm starting to piece this together. How did this all happen, Joe? I need him to be sitting here so he can tell me a story again. But he talks about like way back in the beginning where he was there, and he's been here ever since then. And I don't really relate to that. I don't feel like a connection with that story inside my soul, like I wasn't here yet or something, because I don't have like my relationship with that story isn't on the same page of it, because I don't think I experienced that in my soul. I think I was doing things elsewhere, and I was slowly attracted to earth, where Joe had been here for a lot longer than I had. So yeah.
See, I feel like I was here a long time ago. I think I may have been here maybe in the astral fairy time, and maybe even a little bit in the Lumerian and Atlantis time. But then I feel like I came back here now. I don't feel like I was here I don't feel like I've been here constantly. I feel like I was here a long time ago, and I'm coming back going like, what is going on here? What'd you guys do?
Do you see what I mean? Like how when you just start tap into what it feels like your story, you really pick up on something, because you talking about what it feels like your soul's story and relationship with earth is already saying something about you, because mine feels different. Joe's feels different. Like I guarantee everybody feels a little bit different, where I feel like I've been doing so many different weird things that would be like fairies on another planet or something. But I feel like I've had a lot of earthy lives, like a lot of lives where I was doing very humanistic things, experiencing humanistic pain, humanistic simplicity, humanistic love, like experiencing just being human, but carrying a lot of like memories of advanced races and technology and all that stuff, and magic, even magical experiences. But I'm not as attracted to magic as much as some people are. Like I'm more like the fantasy and the dragons. I'm not as attracted to that energy as I am attracted to understanding the human being and why they are this emotional. Why do they think like this? Like my soul, like my alien soul or whatever's in here needs to understand this human concept.
Yeah.
Why is a human being like this? And I want to feel like a human. I want to act like a human. I want to be a human, and I want to help humans find a way to conquer this thing that's holding them back from just letting the love in. And that's what I resonate with. That's like I think I've lived lifetimes to understand what this human thing feels like and experiences like, and I think
I think that's important because it is important because this human being is complicated.
Yes, exactly. And for those souls that are like in the astral watching, like, because there's so much history, so much has taken place here. And there's there's so much love that's working on helping us to like see the potential of ourselves. I feel like human beings can do extraordinary things once we awaken, once we become like our true nature. Like we're not holding ourselves back, because we're holding ourselves back without even realizing it, like all the time. And we don't know how to break down, like we're coming here with awareness, like I should be able to move this with my hand. So what is preventing me from that? Like, what are the rules here? And how does that make me feel? And you're kind of like connected to this emotional thing, this thought thing, this fear thing, this insecure thing, this judgmental thing. And so I don't know, it's just
even like when we die, we have this like, oh, like, you die when you're in your 80s, or you maybe if you make it to 100, it's not a pretty 100. I mean,
right.
So, but I don't resonate with that. I don't feel like that's like has to be that way. I mean, it may, like, I think we do it because everybody else is doing that. And like, so we're like, oh, I'm this age, I guess I'm gonna, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it's a little bit of a choice.
I know, I do too. Well, and that's something I explored at younger years, because like when I was 12, 13, 14, I felt so much suffering, like depression was like so heavy for me. And I was like, I should be able to die if I want to die. Like I didn't feel any conflict with that thought. Like I had the freedom to decide if I wanted to be here or not. And so I would say, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to leave now. And I would try to leave my body. And that's when I started having those like weird dreams, like astral dreams, where all these dark entities were like, this dark energy was there, and that scared the shit out of me. So I had to go, like, I was like, I'm done, fine. I'm just gonna work with this body, I guess, because I don't want to have that. That was too scary, so it kind of scared me straight, but it didn't help me overcome my depression. It took a long time and a lot of experiences, but all of this, I think, is the training that I've needed to actually relate to so many people and to be able to do the work that I do, because I can step into the shoes of just about anybody, because I've already been there, done that,
Right. So, which I think that's awesome. And that's great that you're there for them on that, and that you have that empathy to give to them, or not. What is it when it's like you felt what they've felt, or
compassion, or empathy. Empathy.
Yeah, maybe it is empathy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. See, that's that's really amazing.
Yeah.
All right, Abby, this is so cool. Thank you so much for talking with me.
Welcome. Absolutely. Thank you so much for reaching out. I was pretty excited when I got your email. So it's nice to meet you, and nice to just get to talk and share our experiences. It's really fun. Like, we're so on the same page in our own unique style and way. Like, I love that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'll touch base before too long here. And
okay.
Sounds awesome. Okay, cool. Bye.
Have a super awesome day. Okay, bye, Nikki.
You too. Bye, Miss Abby.